Welcome. Our call to worship this morning is part of a poem called The Shores of Hope by Reverend Daniel C. Cantor. Arriving on these shores of hope, abandon your cynicism, your despair, your short view of humanity. See beyond the horizon of setbacks and defeat. Let us together enter worship as if it was a new matter, a new day, a new chance at life. Come, let us worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join our voices in our opening hymn, number 298 in your gray hymnal, Wake Now My Senses.
Please remain standing as Lisa Gibson lights our chalice with words by Reverend Michelle Collins. We light this chalice, a spark in the darkness, kindling the embers of imagination within us. May its flame ignite wonder, fuel dreams of justice, and illuminate the path toward what could be.
to shout. They're good. Our story this morning is actually from a picture book, but because our theme this month is imagination, so imagination caps on, everyone. Here we go. I'm doing my best impression of a very beloved character. This is a story called A Jedi Yui by Preeti Chibber. The illustrations are by Mike Tice. Hello, youngling. Yes, see you, I do. Why are you here? Follow him. Did you know who that is? Yes, a great Jedi, Luke Skywalker, will become. A Jedi too you wish to be? Why a Jedi you wish to be? Adventure you want? Excitement you seek? A Jedi craves not these things. Willing to work hard, are you? Finish, will you, what you begin? Scary things there are, mean things. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Face your greatest fears. You must, just as Skywalker does. Brave can you be? Calm? Can you stay? You will know the good from the bad when you are at peace. Close your eyes. Closed are they? Now breathe. Reach out. A Jedi's strength flows from the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Feel it, do you? Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Feel the Force around you, between you and me. The tree, the rock, the piano, everywhere. Important strength is, but weakness too, and failure. Part of the journey they are. Perhaps together we can show what is possible. Reach out, feel the Force. Do or do not. There is no try. Before you, your path lies. Hard choices there will be. Whatever you may face, as long as you mind what you have learned, a Jedi you will be. May the Force be with you. Thank you for listening. Please remain seated for our prayer hymn, number 159, This Is My Song. Invite you into a time of meditation and prayer. In the silence that follows this spoken prayer, you are invited to come forward and light a candle for any joys or concerns you hold in your heart this morning. Spirit of life, Spirit of mystery and love, the force that surrounds us and binds us together. Be with us this day. Let us lift up all those in this world who are hurting, the ones we know, the ones who are unknown to us. May we remember in this Mental Health Awareness Month that there are injuries invisible to the eye, but real nonetheless. There is conflict around the world. There is conflict here at home. Grant us strength to weather all that comes our way. Let us remember those families affected by an event 55 years ago today at Kent State University in Ohio, where students exercising their First Amendment rights to protest were killed. Let us remember families and friends and the nations 50 years ago to this week, when the city of Saigon fell. So much hurt that only love can repair. Only love can be a balm. O Spirit, fill us with that love with a capital L that binds us and joins us together. May it be so. And amen. I light a candle for the joys and concerns of those beloveds joining us virtually. And I light a candle for all else that we hold in our hearts and our minds this morning. If your heart is hurting, know that your community is here to help, as am I. Please reach out with any needs.
We enter into a time of offering with inspiration by Alice Anicheka Naismith, adapted for our congregation. Let us take a moment to honor the ancestors of this church, the people who first came together to create a home for liberal religion here in Howard County, who worked to raise money for space to meet, who sat in committee meetings and created bylaws, who chopped and marinated and baked for potlucks, who swept floors, made coffee, and folded countless orders of service, who gathered to worship, to learn, to grieve, to heal, to serve, to build justice, to transform their lives and this world. We are the recipients of an incredible gift and a beautiful vision. Let us do our part to keep this congregation strong, vital, and thriving for the generations to come. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donate button on our website or by mailing a check to the church office. The morning offering will now be gratefully received. For all that you give and all that you do for our church and its wider concerns, we give thanks. The following is a monologue from the television series Star Wars Andor. The setting is the funeral of Marva Karasi Andor, and the monologue is a video recorded message from the deceased. My name is Marva Karasi Andor. I'm honored to stand before you. I'm honored to be a daughter of the planet Ferrix and honored to be worthy of the stone. Strange, I feel as if I can see it. I was 6, I think, first time I touched a funerary stone, heard our music, felt our history, holding my sister's hand as we walked all the way from Fountain Square. Where you stand now, I've been more times than I can remember. I always wanted to be lifted. I was always eager, always waiting to be inspired. I remember every time it happened, every time the dead lifted me with their truth. And now I'm dead, and I yearn to lift you, not because I want to shine or even be remembered. It's because I want you to go on. I want Ferrex to continue. In my waning hours, that's what comforts me most. But I fear for you. We've been sleeping. I've been sleeping. We've had each other and our home planet, Ferrex, our work, our days. We had each other and they left us alone. We kept the trade lanes open and they left us alone. We took their money and ignored them. We kept their engines churning, and the moment they pulled away, we forgot them because we had each other. We had Ferrex. But we were sleeping. I've been sleeping. And I've been turning away from the truth I wanted not to face. There is a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy. There is a darkness reaching like rust into everything around us. We let it grow, and now it's here. It's here, and it's not visiting anymore. It wants to stay. The empire is a disease that thrives in darkness. It is never more alive than when we sleep. It's easy for the dead to tell you to fight, and maybe it's true. Maybe fighting is useless. Perhaps it's too late. But I'll tell you this. If I could do it again, I'd people from the start. Right higher. From the poem Vahavta by Aurora Levins Morales. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return. Inscribe them on your doorposts, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children. Another world is possible. Imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning. The exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot. The muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for hymn 27, I Am That Great and Fiery Force.
Thank you, Gabby. That was a perfect hymn for today. Yeah. I'm having a little bit of a hard time acknowledging and realizing that it was nearly 50 years ago when Star Wars first appeared. 1977, was that really almost 50 years ago? It was! I went to the theater 5 times to watch it. And I still remember that first viewing with my mouth open pretty much the whole time. Like, this was amazing and wonderful. And now looking back, I realized it was actually a very simple movie, really, the story, if you think about it. It was certainly the classic hero's journey. But this was also a time when Star Trek had its run on television and kind of fell flat at first, but did not die. Doctor Who, also around that time, the first iteration of Doctor Who. And, in my mind, the most important thing of all, the novel. It's not a novel. The Lord of the Rings was making a comeback, if you will, because it had been published quite a bit earlier. Imagination was all these new things, new special effects that made it seem so real when people were traveling through space, instead of being able to see the strings on the spaceships that went by. The creativity to tell a story millions of us could recognize, even though it was set in space, unfamiliar planets, unfamiliar creatures. I just recently rewatched the first season of the series Star Wars Andor. Season 2 is streaming now, if you're a fan. Highly recommend. But I was really struck rewatching that first series by the speech that one of the characters gave at her funeral, which is why I wanted that part of the reading today. And I think those words from Malva Andor, the line that struck me the most was, the moment they pulled away, she said, we forgot them. Right? It's not in front of you right now, and it's easy to forget. And right now, in our moment, in our country, they are never out of the spotlight, so we cannot forget. It is not an easy thing to forget. I also realize that all these things, Star Wars and Star Trek, even the Lord of the Rings, and I hate to say it, were entertainment. I might have to dial back on that last one. I'm not sure that Lord of the Rings is just entertainment, but really, as they began, they were both a bit of an exploration of what could be, what future might look like, what people might be like then. But it was also a fun ride. It was meant to make money. Sometimes it did make us think, especially Star Trek. A little heady. It is very difficult to rewatch the original series, given our time frames right now. It seems like, well, that's a little cringy right now. Okay. And even Star Wars, I don't think George Lucas ever thought it would be, can I call it a behemoth? The behemoth that it is now. I think he wanted to make a movie, and he made the movie. And then he needed to tell a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And then unfortunately he decided that he needed a Jar Jar Binks, for which it is hard to forgive him. But each iteration of the Star Wars universe and story goes a little deeper, digs a little deeper into commentary on empire and effect, and what people, ordinary people, sometimes extraordinary people, are called to do in the face of an authoritarian empire. I got to thinking about all those people who were just kind of doing their thing, whether it was farming moisture on a desert planet, or making money by smuggling goods, or just trying to survive in a world that really didn't care too much about you. What moment, what action moves someone from a survivor or just a citizen to a resistor or a rebel? Is it one thing? Is it an accumulation of things? Is there one final moment that makes someone stand up and say, or rise up and say, I can't just let it be anymore? I'm pretty sure it takes imagination, that spark of, wait, this could be different. I'm thinking of not only the character Andor in the series and in one of the movies, but also Han Solo in some of the original movies, who was a smuggler and a rogue, probably fairly brave, right? But there's a moment when he can no longer be on the outside and take his money and go. In the movie Rogue One, which is is it the third part? The third trilogy, Cassian Andor is a character in that movie as well, one of the central people. And he shouts from the bottom of his very soul that he has been in this fight, this resistance, since he was 6 years old. And the amazing thing about that line is that you don't get the backstory of that until the series happens. And you realize that what he's talking about is when he was 6 years old, the Empire had poisoned the planet he lived on with the indigenous culture there at this planet. And there was a mine that the Empire ran because they needed those minerals more than they needed those people, right? So the planet is poisoned. And the adults are mostly missing, and the children are left. And it is a moment in there when Andor loses his sister, loses one of his best friends, and is adopted for survival by Malva Andor. As young as 6 years old, he understood what resistance to empire looked like for him. And when we meet him in the movie Rogue One, he's kind of, a rogue, perhaps a thief, but he's also surviving and resisting in his own way. And it's not until he gets completely caught up in something far beyond him that he realizes there's something more he can do to take down an empire that killed his planet and his people. Now, as you're watching it, that's not what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is really action-oriented. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they just did that. But it sits with you for a while, and especially as you learn more about the lives and the growing up of these people. Adrian Brown wrote, "Science fiction is simply a way to practice the future together. It is our right and responsibility to create a new world. What we pay attention to grows." So, she writes, "I'm thinking about how we grow what we are all imagining and creating into something large enough and solid enough that it becomes a tipping point." What is our tipping point? What is your tipping point? What moves you from citizen to resistor? Or need I say it? Can I say it? Rebel. Throughout Afrofuturist science fiction works by Octavia Butler. Adrienne Maree Brown has done a lot of work around Octavia Butler's works. A couple of them are The Parable of the Sower or The Parable of the Talents. You may have heard those. Highly recommend. But also people like N.K. Jemisin, Nnedi Okorafor, and Tomi Adeyemi, who take a perspective from people who are marginalized by empire, overturned and overcome by empire, who say no, no more. They are not extraordinary people for the most part, except they become extraordinary people. And I think that's why I love the series Andor so much. In much of the Star Wars universe, what we see at first are all the people with those abilities to work with the Force and do what looks like magic with that. And in Andor, these ordinary people, the miners, the workers, the diggers, the mechanics, without that special connection to the Force to be able to use it in that way, are the ones who say no more and resist. They risk so much by doing that. They risk their freedom, they risk their very lives. One of my professors, Sharon Welch, Dr. Sharon Welch, also a theologian, a feminist, and activist, wrote a book about the feminist ethic of risk. The ethic of risk, she wrote, is propelled by the equally vital recognition that to stop resisting, even success is unimaginable, is to die. The death that is experienced by those who turn from rage, who forego resistance, is nonetheless real. It is the death of the imagination, the death of caring, the death of the ability to love. For if we cease resisting, we lose the ability to imagine strategies or resistance and ways of sustaining each other in the long struggle for justice. What is at stake in these fictional stories and in our own world is freedom, autonomy, sustainability, our planet, each other, what we value. The world building in progress right now, the world tearing down right now, envisions in what Sharon Astic wrote in a column called Hulk Smash, Why Collapse is the Goal. Sharon wrote, a new world will put all the power in the hands of a few hands forever. It will have billions fewer people. It will be cleansed of beliefs they hold in disdain or horror, or at least that's the plan. It's on purpose. But hope lies in our imaginations, in our values, in our vision of a world where people are not left behind, where each and every one is valued, cared for, where the planet itself is vibrant. Reverend Walter Clark wrote, imagination and hope is how we adapt to a world that no longer allows us to thrive. Our own UU values and practices call us to embrace those things that let all of us thrive, that let our planet thrive, that let our souls thrive. We are called to work for that world. We are called to resist, to make that world possible. That world of hope and inclusivity and compassion with love at the center. As Marva Karasi Andor said in that funeral speech, there is a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy. It's time to rip the Band-Aid off. It's long past time. And let the ick out. Expose it to the light and let it heal. In the universe of Star Wars, it is not always the wealthy, powerful, shiny folks who save the world. And much of the time it's not, although they do appear. There are senators and people who are resisting in ways that no one else could. But it is the farm boys, the rogues, the mechanics, the loners, the lost who risk everything to resist. So I would call to you, fellow resistors and rebels. In the words of Aurora Evans Morales, to hold hands, to share water, to keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. May it be so, and amen. With that in mind, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to sing hymn number 1017 in your teal hymnal, Building a New Way. I invite you to remain standing for this benediction. It's interactive because I pulled it from a UU curriculum called Jedi Academy, which I have done, worked with the middle schoolers before. It was wonderful. So I'm going to read it slowly and follow along if you would like. This is the closing ritual. Emotions, yet peace. Ignorance, yet knowledge. Passion, yet serenity. Chaos, yet harmony. Death, yet the Force. Go in peace, resist the Empire, and may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Thank you.